Hello there, welcome back. This is Sheepishly here once again, and today I have a very quick build update video for you guys because I have been working on a new build, and yes, this is Palsteron Stormcore Elementalist. As you can see, the AoE gets quite crazy. We're stacking power charges, AoE, golems, reduced skill effect duration, the whole thing. Now, this is a very interesting build conceptually, and let me just quickly pop over a map to show you guys what it can do. I think it's it definitely has its moments. You're gonna go very fast. You're gonna jump around all the time. Let's see how quickly we can clear this strand. As you can see, we're building up our souls. You can see we have 45 soul eater stacks, and we're just gonna pretty much go through the whole thing. Oh, Egan, hello. And I think content like this is what this build shines the most, which is kind of like speedrunning tier 16s and 16.5s. I don't think this build performs as well in tier 17s, especially very hard tier 17s with Delirium, like, Aves and Deli, and, Risks Arab and all that stuff. But, because I think the damage just doesn't get very high. You can see 30-second strand, and we were pretty much mucking about. I'm pretty sure I can traverse that map in like 20 seconds. But back to what I was saying, it's that in tier 17s on very juice maps, what you're gonna find is that both the damage and the defenses of this build is a little bit lacking. Maybe that's being a bit unfair because we are on an Elementalist, which as an ascendancy is just strictly weaker than something, say, the Trickster, right? If you play Trickster, you can get more damage, more defenses, everything, but hey, I digress. The build's still very fun, and if you're in the process of putting this one together, following Palsteron's guide, hopefully after watching this video I can give you some tips on how to make the build a little bit cheaper, because Palsteron did say that he spent 2 mirrors on his build, and at first I was doubtful. I'm like, oh, it doesn't look like a 2-mirror build. But once you start to get into the gearing and stuff like that, you can see very quickly how the divines stack up. I myself invested about a mirror into this, to be honest. I did drop in the mirror earlier this league, which is very lucky. But I invested about a mirror plus the mage blood. Yeah, don't get me wrong, the build is extremely fun, and I think it's something that's quite interesting conceptually, and Coiling Whispers will definitely be nerfed next league. So play with it this league whilst you can. Okay, coming over here to an Uber Exarch showcase on the damage. I'm not looking forward to this one. I don't know how we're gonna go. The fight's pretty easy. You can't just jump on him. You can't just lightning whip on him to stack up the soul. We're at max on soul. We're gonna curse him with well, playing this quite badly, but let's start the damage test. Oh yeah, it's quite respectable. Now it's not quite one face. It probably wouldn't be one face, I think, with this build. But you can see tanking this one is pretty good, right? We can tank the bulls, even Uber Exarch will almost tank the bulls. That's more of a player issue. I think I jumped into like way too many bulls there. But yes, you can see the damage is pretty good. It's a little bit awkward because you just have to stack up the Soul Eater buffs at the start, but yeah, it's probably okay. Let's do this. Assassin's Mark. Bam, 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 bam. Die, please. There you go. Not too bad, right? We dropped a Crystallized Omniscience. By the way, they buffed the drop rate for this one, so don't get too excited when you see it. So it's not too bad. It's definitely something in the range of like, I would say 300 to 300 mil easily, and it's quite consistent. A lot of it is of course carried by the Merc. We have a very nice Merc setup here with Doriani's Wrath effect scepters on both of them. We also have Wrath effect on Count's Binding. We have the Reflector Jewelry. I got very lucky using the Reflecting Mist on this one. We hit the Regen Life as well as the Recoup mods. Helmet, gloves just to cap resistances, and a little bit of utility here and there. And boot with Dawnstrider, of course. You can use this one for Ancestral Bond, so your Merc doesn't die to Elemental Reflect. Now, to go through the gear choices, most of them are pretty similar to what Palsteron was doing. I will go through the mandatory pieces first and then comment on some of the different choices I've made along the way. So firstly, Mage Blood, of course, you definitely need one. And then the flask setup as well, same as Palsteron's. I think just the classic triple elemental resist flask as well as a granite flask to help out with the armor a little bit more. And the other mandatory piece is Coiling Whispers, of course. You can look for any implicit that's useful for you, I suppose. Determination is pretty good. Cannot be poisoned, it's very expensive. It's like 70 divines last time I checked it, where this is like 1 divine or something, so I just bought this instead. The chest armor, it's something that a lot of people complain about because it is impossible to find a +4 brass dome. Yeah, and if you do find one, that's gonna be like a mirror probably, so it's definitely not worthwhile to get. Now, Palsteron does say that any body armor will do, but having looked through the market, even good body armors like Belly of the Beast, Utilus Hunger, +4, it's quite rare, and then when they do exist, they're like 70, 80 divines. And you really kind of want Brass Dome with this max elemental resistance package, because it's actually very hard for us to get max res anywhere else. So what I sold on was a +2 Brass Dome. I got lucky and I got a +1 max elemental max resistance corrupt. I think I got this one for 40 divines. By running this setup, I can get to 89% max res, and I don't have to run a shield anymore, right? So you can see that I'm dual wielding wands. And this is how I'm making up for the level 30 Stormcore gem requirement without having the +4 chest, because I can get +2 skill gems on the second weapon here. It's not a bad compromise, don't get me wrong, but I feel like this probably saved me something like 300 divines from buying the +4 chest, so hey, happy days. With that extra money, what did I spend the money into? Well, it's this amulet. I did craft this one myself. I was going to do a video about it, but I think it's honestly a pretty standard craft. You just make sure you don't buy the split version, which everyone already mentions. That's why if you look at the split and non-split versions, there's like a 10 divine gap in prices, right? Because you do pay a little extra for it. I spent about 3.6 thousand chaos rolling for the +2 all skill gems. I rolled over it once because I was sleepy, and the second time I annulled it off on the first try, which was 1 in 3, so I was quite pissed. But you could probably make do with a replica Dragon Fang, which is like a divine, I think, at the moment. It's quite cheap. With that being said, though, it's quite hard to hit the level 30 gem requirement, and you really do want level 30 because Stormcore gains 0.1 meter radius there, and that's going to help you hit the 4.8, 4.9 meter kind of like 5-time overlap requirement a lot easier, right? Because that's the base radius that you're scaling there. For the helmet, Sandstorm Visage, don't even think about +1 power chargers. Last time I checked, there's only 2 on the market, and they go for about 300 divines, so half a mirror. Moving over to the other weapon, this wand. Crafting this wand was actually not too bad. Fracturing the all spell skill gems definitely took a while. I would 100% recommend you to fracture it yourself, because buying one kind of costs like 70 divines, and you know, fracturing orbs are like 6-7 divines each, so on average you should spend less than 30 divines to get the fracture. But I got a bit unlucky with this one. It's an eye level 77 wand, which is horrendous, and obviously it's an omen wand base, which is not the ideal one. I think you really want prophecy wand for that additional 9% spell damage. But once you get the fracture, the crafting's easy. You just essence spam and until you hit +1 all lightning spell gems, and you can reforge crit for crit multi or crit chance. I think I got quite lucky with this one. When I essence spammed it, it came with the T2 crit multi roll, so tier 3 crit multi roll, my bad. But I just kept it. It's still fairly budget, but if you go out and buy this one, I can quickly price check for you. It's quite expensive, right? It's let's not get enchant in them. 120 divines. Like, what are people doing with their money that this is 120 divines? It's 150 with a crit roll. Like, yeah, I don't know. It definitely doesn't take 150 divine to craft this, right? So yeah, the wand's very expensive. You can see why the costs are very, very high this league. Even this wand is 150 divines. That's like, what, a quarter of a mirror? Like, is it worth a quarter of a mirror? I don't think so. So, yeah. The Dusk Ring. Now, the Dusk Ring is absolutely ridiculous. I haven't checked the market recently, but last time I checked, anything with a T1 life fracture on Dusk Ring, it's about 250 divines. Which is stupid, because you can just, fracture yourself. So that's what I did. I bought the ring base for a couple of divines. I split them 3 ways using Black Morrigan, and then I just fractured them myself, right? So the way I went about it was that I was rolling these rings using, let me see if I still have some left over. I was rolling these rings using Zeal essences for T1 cast speed. And once I hit T1 cast speed and T1 life, I used a fracturing orb on it, right? Because it's a 50-50 odds. You either hit the max life, which happy days, or you hit the cast speed, in which case it's also usable, I suppose. Now after you hit the fracture, I just bought a bunch of Scorn essences and spammed it until it's something reasonable like this. I think everything is not T1. I think we have T2 cast speed, T2 mana regen, but that's good enough. And for the prefixes, you can just lock suffixes and use a veiled Chaos Orb. It's pretty self-explanatory, to be honest. Okay, there you go. That's my gear overview. I think the key takeaway here again, the plus 4 body armor on Brastom is pretty much not affordable for anyone out there, I'm pretty sure. And I think my setup with the 2 wands is a great budget option to help hit that level 30 requirement for your Storm Core. In terms of gems, I haven't really made too many changes from what Palsteron had. The only thing is I'm running an Assassin's Mark. I did find that when doing really juiced tier 17s, even though we have, say, 200 to 350 mil DPS, sometimes the mods just line up in a way that you don't actually kill the bosses very fast. Assassin's Mark is actually really good for that. It helps caps out my crit. It gives me 53 crit multi, which I'm really lacking as well at the moment. And it's a self-cast, right? So it's a little bit clunky, but we have so much cast speed anyways. You can't just blink on top of them, you stack up your Soul Eater, you cast your Assassin's Mark once, it doesn't go away, and it's now disabled by Calling Whispers. Obviously, Calling Whispers disables your other hex. Well, not disable your hexes, but it makes targets unaffected by your hexes. But Assassin's Mark is not a hex, so Assassin's Mark really helps out on your single target damage, which is quite useful sometimes. In terms of the passive tree, again, the passive tree is exactly the same. I have the same cluster jewels and everything as Palsteron setup. The only thing I would mention is that instead of running Enduring Composure, I don't like to run Endurance Chargers because I like to click Ether Altars. I have a Megalomaniac with Primordial Bond and Prismatic Carapace. If you remember, with the way we are doing max ally res with the +1 on our chest instead of a +2 on the shield, we're on 89% max ally res, and that's just 1% short. Prismatic Carapace gives me that additional 1% that helps cap us to 90%. The other changes I've made, Corrupted Blood on a rare jewel. This jewel cost me 2 divines, which is probably a pretty good deal, but you can probably get a really nice Corrupted Blood jewel for like under 5 divines, I would say. It's much cheaper to get Corrupted Blood immunity this way rather than on an Ancestral Vision, which is again 30 divines for a Corrupted Blood Ancestral Vision. Make sure to tattoo your trees. This build is missing a lot of percentage increase damage, so these lightning damage tattoos, it's really what's carrying a lot of our damage along the way. When I first did the transition without the tattoos, it felt horrendous, so make sure you do tattoo your trees because we are using Supreme Ostentation here, same as Palsteron. Is there anything else I want to discuss? The spell suppress tattoos. These are, let me just check how much they are, because when I bought them, these were like 4 divines each, or 6 divines each, I can't remember. Yeah, there's 6 divines each, and we need 8 of them, so that's 50 divines right there. I didn't realize how expensive these were until I put the build together, and obviously you want to be spell suppress capped, so that wasn't too fun buying that. Well, that's the overview. I will link my POB in the comments below. I'm not going to configure it, so the DPS is going to be a bit off, but you can definitely check out my gear and my skill tree, and hopefully you can take some inspiration there. Overall, this is a very, very fun build. Again, big props to Palsteron for coming up with this concept. I think it's an absolutely fascinating concept, and scaling AoE to these levels, 5 times overlap Stormcall, scaling reduced duration, scaling Coiling Whispers is an absolutely fantastic idea, and I'm having a lot of fun with this. I'm going to probably be playing this build for the next couple of weeks, trying to see if I can push the build a little bit further. But just given the current price levels of everything, the build just feels a little bit overpriced. But the good thing is that this build is fantastic at farming tier 16.5 abysses, which absolutely prints divines. You can get to 25 divines an hour. If you enjoy farming abysses, to 16.5 abysses, you're going to be able to afford everything in this build in no time at all. Well, there you go. That is a build update. If you have any questions, feel free to chuck them in the comments below. I will be doing a new farming video. It's not going to be good divines per hour, but I think it's a lot of fun. So we'll see how we go there. Well, anyways, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.